Our journey from monkey to monk is soon bound to end as the gods are no longer taking the BS of humans. At the Council of Valhalla, the gods had gathered to decide the fate of mankind. Zeus, a goofy-looking fella, leads the meeting of gods. He asks whether should they eliminate mankind or let them live for another 1,000 years. Shiva, coming straight from Adventures of Sinbad, chimes in, commenting, "Yep, these little rascals must die because in the past 1,000 years they have not shown any intention to reform themselves." Aphrodite, with her goddess glow and humongous personality, supports Shiva's claims, stating the world had become unpleasant. From forests disappearing, animals going extinct, to trash spreading. The shit is too much. The other gods agree with Shiva and Aphrodite's statements because, to put simply, they are simps. And when simps get powers, they become dangerous, as we see when they all vote to end mankind. Zeus prepares to announce the final decision. However, one of the Valkyries, Brunhilde, interrupts him, stating, simply ending them would be too crude, and proposes the gods demonstrate their mercy and power by testing mankind into mortal combat, or as Brunhilde puts it, Ragnarok. Turns out, the gods had made a handbook when they created humanity, and one rule in it stipulates mankind gets to have a one-on-one battle as a last stand to see if they deserve life. However, the thought of a human defeating a god makes the gods laugh, yet the baddie claps back, mocking their wish to avoid direct competition because they are afraid. Suddenly, the room goes quiet for a second before the beta gods start shouting angrily. Zeus accepts the proposal and tells Brunhilde to select 13 humans for the tournament. The first to achieve 7 victories wins. And thus, here we are, at the Valhalla arena with Heimdall in the center, announcing the start of the upcoming epic battle. The winner will be determined by the opponent's death. The first representative of the gods is the strongest Norse god and Marvel's favorite Big G, the god of thunder, Thor. His opponent, the most powerful Chinese warrior of all the historical figures known to man, is Lu Bu. Heimdall blows his horn, announcing the start of Ragnarok, or in this case, the fight between Thor and Lu Bu, which to everyone's shock, starts a bit whack as neither fighter takes a guard stance and simply walks towards each other with lowered weapons. Now, with both lads in each other personal space, Lu Bu strikes with his spear, while Thor blocks it with his not very canon MCU hammer. Anyways, when Thor blocks Lu Bu's attack and pushes him back, he jumps to return the favor. Yet, it too gets blocked by the opponent. With normal bonks deemed useless, Thor uses electricity and grabs his hammer with both hands to fight at full power. One kid narrates, in ancient times, Asgard was surrounded by high walls that protected it from invasions from the land of the giants. But if there is anything we learned from another show, is that big walls fall hard in face of titans. And when this one fell, Asgard was on the verge of destruction until Thor alone opened the gates of pain on those sorry-ass wannabe titans, single-handedly obliterating all 66 giants. His killing technique was later called Thor's hammer. Hence, seeing Thor taking the stance, all gods anticipate Thor's hammer dropping down hard and ending Lu. When young Thor swings his hammer, a shockwave happens and sends Heimdall flying, while Aphrodite's airbags go berserk to protect their goddess from impact. On the other side, the young Valkyrie falls on her knees, believing it's the end, to which Brunhilde smirks, telling the young one, "Stand tall and observe the moment, as this is where the creators meet their creation at their best." When the dust clears, Lu is seen standing tall, pushing back and slashes him, surprising all gods. Blasting us to another backstory, this one follows a young Lu who is traveling in search of the strongest opponents, until his name eventually spread across all of China. And all those who stood in his way were eventually exterminated. After 30 years of traveling, Lu realized no one on Earth can match him. Lu Bu was eventually captured, because life became boring knowing he was the strongest. Back in the present, Zeus gets surprised there was a human weapon capable of challenging a god's strength. Looking at Brunhilde, he then realizes what is going on. You see, before Ragnarok began, Brunhilde knew it was going to be an impossible fight, as no human weapons stand a chance against the gods' weapons. That said, if they also have a weapon of the gods, things would be different. Therefore, Brunhilde called upon her sister Randgris and asks her if she knows of Thor's sacred weapons. Randgris tells Big Sis about the iron gloves, which can fend off any attack, and his hammer Mjolnir. Brunhilde finds those two weapons as the dirtiest cheats of all sacred items. But to defeat Thor, they need to overcome them. She asks Randgris if she will dedicate her body to that purpose, to which Randgris agrees. Lu Bu's halberd starts to glow, making the gods realize it's a Valkyrie. Brunhilde explains that the Valkyries have a hidden power, which transforms their body into sacred weapons able to rival the gods' weapons. Each Valkyrie has a special ability when turned into a weapon, and in Randgris' case, it's Shield Breaker. Hence, when Lu Bu disarms Thor and strikes with his halberd, Thor blocks using his iron gloves, but it starts to crack, and then it shatters into pieces, surprising the gods. Meanwhile, Mjolnir starts to heat up and melt the ground. Suddenly, a heartbeat can be heard loud and clear. To everyone's shock, Mjolnir is throbbing. The hammer's outer shell cracks. Zeus explains that the gloves are not there to protect Thor, but to restrain his power from crushing it before it awakens. Thor then removes the remaining glove and tosses it aside, creating a small crater when it lands. He then lifts Mjolnir and asks Lubu to not die. As Thor prepares to swing with his full power with awakened Mjolnir, the gods get excited as it will be for the first time they witness this attack. The mad lad throws Mjolnir at Lubu, which according to legend it never missed once in 100 throws, but not this time, as we see an athletic Lu moving swiftly, bending down. Lubu then rushes towards his opponent before noticing Mjolnir from behind and dodges again. Thor then grabs the hammer, revealing that he didn't throw it to hit Lu, but to use its momentum and speed when it returns to deliver the ultimate blow. Lu, being the ultimate Giga Chad, blocks it on the expanse of his legs, to Zeus' joy since he's a huge advocate of brutal head-to-head fights. That said, the man is no longer able to walk. As Thor lifts his hammer again, Lu Fanboy cries his heart out, knowing he will see the death of his master once again. Luckily, Lubu's trusty steed comes into the arena to save us from Fanboy screams, who then inspires everyone to continue cheering for Lubu. And so, the strongest man on Earth manages to once again stand up and mount his loyal friend. Back in the past, when Lu realized he was the strongest, there was nothing left but to swing and practice his weapon technique for the one day he will face a mighty foe. After several years of practice, Lubu developed superhuman grip and arm strength that was able to split the sky. He calls this secret tech Sky Eater. And for the first time, Sky Eater is seeing the light of the day, exciting Thor, who throws his hammer and prepares for the final stand. The attacks clash, causing a shockwave and a burst of lightning to pierce the cloudy sky. Sadly, the halberd breaks, resulting in Rangri's returning to her normal form, while Lu's arms shatter. Knowing he used everything he had, the Giga Chad feels joy and charges one last time at Thor, who beheads him with one last swing. After the spectacular fight ends, Heimdall announces Thor as the winner of the first battle in Ragnarok, and the gods start celebrating their first win. Looking depressed, Thor heads towards the exit of the arena, but gets stopped by Lu's army led by Chen, who states that it's meaningless to continue living without their lord and wishes to join him, and so they charge head-on with no fear of Thor. The young Valkyrie wonders what will happen to Lubu and Rangri's. Brunhilde explains this is a battle of souls, and once their souls crumble, they cannot recover, reincarnate, or be saved in any way. They cease to exist and become dust. However, as Mommy Hildy puts it, we must move on and fight, as we can't slay a god with tears. They then return to their room to select the next fighter. After the arena has been restored, Heimdall appears to announce the fighters for the second round. Animals come out and surround the arena as he introduces the first man created after God's image and charged with the original sin. He is a man amongst men, the father of all mankind, Adam. Heimdall proceeds with the introduction of the strongest Indian god, Shiva. However, no one comes out of the corridor. He then receives a message. There is a change in the fighter's order. 3D Hermes appears playing on the violin a symphony to introduce the leader of the gods, a god amongst gods, Zeus. The Valkyries are shocked, while the humans wonder if the old man can fight. As Zeus continues to dance, his muscle starts to enlarge, becoming like the typical buff Greek god he is. With the second round about to start, Ares takes a seat next to his brother Hermes. Zeus asks Adam if he won't get a godly weapon since without it, the fight will end in an instant. Adam points to the sky and states that the Valkyrie is already here. Riding on a Pegasus, Reginleif makes her entrance. Reg jumps down and tells Adam to give her his hand, adding that their hearts must be on the same wavelength for her to become part of him. When they touch tips, she turns into a brass knuckle. Zeus comments that Adam has picked a nice weapon, to which Adam agrees and refers to Zeus as pal and asks where is his weapon. Zeus replies, I will be fighting bare knuckles, as he wants to hear the boy's bones creak. And so, Zeus makes the first move, and in about 0.01 seconds he closes the distance between him and Adam, throwing a swift punch, but Adam dodges. Zeus keeps increasing his speed and uses a move called Meteor Jab, yet Adam keeps dodging with ease. The cycle continues with Zeus increasing his speed more, making the fight look like an average Dragon Ball showdown. The cycle, however, ends when he follows the jabs with a kick called Divine Axe, going for Adam's lower body, to which Adam jumps over it. While Zeus gets more excited, he finally faces a worthy opponent. He also states that just running away won't get Adam anywhere. The father of all men responds, I know, and then pulls the same first move old Z did, closing the distance in 0.001 seconds and causing a small wound on Zeus' cheek. Adam then keeps increasing his speed and copies Zeus' meteor jab, followed by the divine axe, but unlike Zeus, his combo lands. The young Valk gets surprised that Adam could copy God's techniques. Mommy Hildy replies, Adam was created in God's image. Therefore, he can copy all the techniques he sees with his ability Divine Reflection. Impressed, Zeus compliments Adam's abilities before starting his next special attack. Using unique footwork at high speed, Zeus lunges with a flying kick at the first man model, to which Adam once again dodges with finesse and uses his copying abilities to goofily warm up his legs, kicking Zeus back to a wall. Adam states he doesn't want to do this, but it's a competition and apologizes to the Grandpa Zeus. Hearing this, Zeus gets even more buffed and prepares a new attack, one that Adam can't copy. He learned this move in the Battle of Gods when a younger Zeus defeated his opponents without getting hit. Now that Zeus had learned his father's technique after defeating him, he named it the Fist that surpassed time, which is, as you guessed it, a blow that defies all laws of time. Thus, when he starts charging it, time seemingly stops for everyone except him. It seems to be the ultimate move that will win it all, or so Zeus thought when he ran at the naked boy, to find out that not only he dodged the hit, but also copied it, causing Zeus to fall to the ground, surprising the crowd that didn't know what happened. Ares realizes that even if he trained for 1,000 years, he could not defeat Adam. Runhilde comments Adam's strength comes from his hatred for the gods. In the distant past, Adam lived with the animals in the Garden of Eden. However, as the known story goes, Eve was trialed for eating the forbidden fruit. The mother of all denied the accusations, but the serpent doubled down, saying, I saw her with my own eyes, sinking her fangs in it. However, in reality, the serpent tried to take Eve for himself, but she remained faithful to Adam and escaped him. So he bit the forbidden fruit and blamed Eve for it. Thus, the heavenly court sentenced Eve to banishment from paradise. After hearing about it, Adam entered the court with 2 baskets of apples, then proceeded to take a bite from each one and spit them, shocking everyone in court. He later approached Eve and told her that if she leaves, he will leave with her in the most Chad way possible. It was so sweet. The serpent couldn't handle it, so it transformed into monster form and attacked. But Adam pulled the classic copy no jutsu, slicing him instead, before descending with his beloved down to earth. Back in the present time, mankind celebrates believing they scored their first win. However, as Heimdall is about to announce Adam as the winner, Zeus stops him, twists his head back to normal, and states he underestimated Adam, then asks the man to tell him the real reason he came to fight, since he doesn't feel the fire of hatred in his eyes. Adam states it's not hatred or revenge, but the desire to protect his children. Consequently, mankind felt his love and all came together praying for their father to win. Zeus admits that Adam is indeed powerful, yet he also admits that it was foolish to think he could win with just that. The godfather of the cosmos starts crushing his own body, remarking that he didn't want to do it, as it's brutal for him, but there is no other way. When he finishes, Adam realizes the threat is real and instantly holds his guard up. Everyone starts to tremble due to their instinct for danger kicking in. Finally, the smoke clears, revealing Zeus' final form, a thin, old, creepy man that skips leg day. In this form, Zeus can stay for about 12 to 13 minutes, but due to the damage he took, Hermes believes he only can maintain it for about 5 minutes. Zeus collects his energy by compressing his muscles and releasing it in his fists with every ounce of speed. However, when the old-timer uses God's true right, Adam copies it and hits him with it. But this time, Zeus continues to throw punches undeterred, while Adam continues to copy and hit back. Suddenly, Adam starts to bleed. Runhilde realizes he is overheating from copying the endless amount of Zeus's punches. Loki has figured it out as well and knows Adam is reaching his limit, yet hope is not all lost for mankind as he states that Zeus' body is also reaching its limit and is overheating as well. As their fight continues pushing our boy to the edge, a drop of blood from Zeus falls on his eye, breaking his vision, as well as causing him to bleed from his nose, eyes, and ear. This little push is what old Z needed to land his first hit. After becoming blind, Adam takes a defensive stance to fend off the barrage of jabs the old man is throwing at him. Seeing what is happening, mankind starts to ask Adam to just give up or for the fight to be stopped. Adam hears a baby cry and states that as the All-Father, he will protect him from scary things. Therefore, he takes another hit from Zeus to the face on purpose, so he can grab him by the head and start blasting away. Blow after blow after blow, this fight turned into a dogfight, where the one who can withstand most punishment will win. Eventually, Adam punches Zeus to his knees, shocking everyone, as Zeus states it's over and mankind starts to celebrate. However, they soon notice that although Adam is standing up smiling, he is dead. Zeus states that before he crumbled to the ground, Adam had already died but had never surrendered, throwing punches from beyond the grave. Zeus congratulates Adam and states that if it was a contest of endurance, he would have won. Then the people's champ, along with his bound Valkyrie, turns into dust and Heimdall announces Zeus as the winner. But this time, instead of despair, all humanity stood tall as their father left behind a great inheritance, the power to rebel against the gods and the unprecedented confidence to do so. The girls receive a message informing them the next fighter for the gods is Poseidon. Being the older brother of Zeus, the group's morale drops to zero until an elderly Kojiro Sasaki appears and states he will go. Still, the girls wonder if he is really Kojiro, as he is quite old, and the souls summoned to Ragnarok take their strongest form, regardless of their age at death. However, when Brunhilde gets up, she accidentally pushes a milk jar off the table. Using his blade, Kojiro captures all the spilled milk and drinks it. Brunhilde realizes he is the real deal. Kojiro explains, although died 400 years ago, he never stopped honing his skills, and his evolution still hasn't ended, making this form and age his peak. Brunhilde asks Harist if she can go next as well, to which the dual personality mommy agrees. The arena gets remodeled and now is surrounded by water, making some of the gods realize who the next fighter would be. Heimdall introduces Poseidon as one of the most fearsome among the gods. As Poseidon comes out, he splits the water, creating a path to the arena. The gods go silent as they don't want to incur his wrath. Heimdall then proceeds to introduce the fool who will face Poseidon. Arriving on a small boat, Kojiro is introduced as the greatest swordsman, or as most know him, the world's greatest loser. Kojiro Sasaki, who even in defeat or death continues to evolve, is the #1 swordsman under the sun. And hearing all that smack talk, mankind couldn't but wonder if old Kojiro stands a chance, especially when the annoying Miyamoto keeps claiming that it's a mistake choosing him, stating that his father Musashi Miyamoto should have the title of the greatest. Suddenly, Kojiro draws his sword and calms the waves, startling the gods. Heimdall gives the signal for the fight to start, yet no one is making a move. Ares guesses that both are waiting for the opponent to enter their range and counterattack. Hermes finds it funny and corrects Ares that Poseidon isn't hoping to counterattack, he will simply crush any bug that enters his range. Incidentally, Kojiro creates a mental image of him attacking Poseidon, but ends up killed. As he keeps doing that, he starts to sweat, making some people believe that he is getting exhausted just by standing, but not Hermes, who realizes what Kojiro is doing and praises his intellect and foresight. That said, in his mind, Kojiro had already died 18 times. Brunhilde tells a story of a young Poseidon and Adamas, his and Zeus' older brother. Long ago, the god of conquest couldn't accept that Zeus is the greatest god, since he is the oldest of 3 siblings. Thus, he freed the Titans and bent the most terrifying beast in heaven to his will. Later, he went to meet Poseidon, explaining that the 49 gods that backed Zeus are on his side, and as well as some of the Olympian gods like Hermes, adding that he wishes Poseidon to side with him as well, since no older brother should serve their younger one. Poseidon finds Adam's actions pathetic, which only angers the dark god. Poseidon states that gods don't gather armies, plot schemes, nor rely on others, since they are gods and are perfect. As Poseidon starts to whistle and looks aside, the dark god of conquest gets angry and attacks him, wanting Poseidon to look him in the eye. In that instant, Poseidon looks into his eyes and kills him. Poseidon notices Hermes and tells him that one of the 13 was not a god, and Hermes agrees. Consequently, Hermes states that the fearsome part of Poseidon wasn't his overwhelming strength, but how his words hold so much power. If he deems something to not be, it simply gets accepted by others and becomes reality. Back to the main event, Kojiro notices that Poseidon doesn't even look at him, so makes it known as he sits on the ground while wondering what to do, as he doesn't want to die. We then take a look at a young Kojiro Sasaki, entering a prestigious dojo late with no care in the world, so he gets scolded that he has the audacity to show up, to which Kojiro takes it as a compliment. Frustrated, the big guy with the yee-ass haircut forces young Kojiro to spar with him. Kojiro manages to block his moves, but is eventually disarmed and gives up. The guy's father comments that Kojiro has no talent and is pointless to keep him in the dojo. Yet the headmaster is not convinced, so he asks Kojiro why he gave up that fast. Kojiro explains that even if he fought the guy 100 times, he won't win, and if he kept fighting, he could get injured, and that would affect his future chances. Later, Kojiro spends his time in the forest, thinking of how he can win the next match. After getting inspired by nature, he decides to eat lots of meat to gain muscles, observe, and imitate animals. 6 months later, Kojiro returns to the dojo, and everyone is surprised at how muscular he became. Kojiro states he had to fight his boy 100 times in his head before he was able to defeat him. Therefore, he longer needs to face him. The man doesn't take it nicely and attempts to attack Kojiro, but in young Kojiro's eyes, he sees his ass getting split in half, so he admits defeat. Kojiro then asks the headmaster to fight him. The old-timer agrees and takes a battle stance, which makes Kojiro excited. Several years passed and Kojiro never returned to the dojo. Sadly, the headmaster had lost his vision, which hinders their rematch. However, when the old G steps into Kojiro's house, he instantly realizes how hard he was training from the marks and scratches. Facing Poseidon, Kojiro doesn't want to die but believes he can't simply surrender like in old times. Kojiro decides to make the first move with a technique he created. He jumps and swings the blade from his back. Poseidon dodges and starts his attack. However, Kojiro attacks one more time and Poseidon dodges it again, yet not swiftly enough, as our boy manages to ruin the blonde boy's haircut, which prompts him to look Kojiro in the eye, making our boy pleased. Poseidon moves toward Kojiro, shocking everyone, since the Great One never attacks, but this time he did. Using a barrage of attacks, Kojiro dodges. You see, Kojiro had already made an image of Poseidon that he fought a gazillion times in his head. Suddenly, Poseidon starts to whistle and charges at Kojiro, who knows the attack but can't dodge, because it's much faster than he predicted. After landing the hit, Poseidon mocks him, stating that he thought he was able to read his opponent's movements. The crowd gets excited and calls Poseidon the god of gods. However, just a cold look from Poseidon makes them all quiet. Kojiro questions why he won't accept the cheers from his friends. So Poseidon states that gods don't gather armies, plot schemes, or rely on each other because they are perfect. Hearing what the gods are, Kojiro comments, "It must be depressing." Not liking what he heard, Poseidon jumps in the air and unleashes a storm of attacks, but our boy manages to predict and avoid all attacks. Hermes comments that the depth of Poseidon's skills is not known by the other gods. That said, Kojiro predicts Poseidon's movement and believes he got him. Poseidon then surprises him and moves under his blind spot, avoiding Kojiro's attack. The GOG gets behind him and strikes, breaking Kojiro's blade. Witnessing that, everyone had thought the fight was over as the human lost his sacred weapon. Kojiro explains he wants to surrender, but not this time. When Kojiro looks at Musashi's reflection on his broken blade, he recalls their fight and how he wanted to surrender. But as he was having so much fun, he couldn't stop, so they fought to the death. The honorable duel ended with Musashi striking young joyful Kojiro with his dual style, sending him to the afterlife. Back in modern times, Kojiro asks Poseidon if he ever practices his swing or if he ever wept tears of gratitude to a foe who made him stronger. Picking up his broken blade, Kojiro states, it's the combined passion of his past opponents that keeps him going stronger. To everyone's shock, his broken blade starts glowing. Due to Hara's dual personality, the broken sword reforged to become two, one with a short blade, while the other is longer. Kojiro and Poseidon's fight continues, as Kojiro again predicting Poseidon's attacks. Musashi tells to the kid that even after death, Kojiro kept dueling him 1,000 times, resulting in his muscles remembering the moves and techniques down to a tooth, making them his own rather than imitating them. He also adds, Kojiro now has far surpassed him. As our Wonder Boy cuts Poseidon all over the place, mankind cheer even harder for their god slayer. However, everybody is a gangsta until Poseidon whistles and combs his hair with his blood. He tells Kojiro he is arrogant to believe that he can read his moves. Then, in an instant, Poseidon attacks and hits Kojiro. Even though Kojiro can see them coming, he is not able to avoid them. Poseidon then attacks so fast, the movement creates a visual dome around Kojiro. Kojiro manages to block most of the attacks but feels as if he is drowning like a rock under Poseidon's pressure. While sinking, he feels the support of his former opponents and swordsmen, who know that Kojiro has yet to show his true skills, reminding him how his win always comes after a defeat. Poseidon increases his attacks, but Kojiro not only reads the lightning-fast attacks but also closes the distance to Poseidon and cuts the boy's right arm holding the trident. Poseidon grabs the broken trident and attempts to strike Kojiro. However, having achieved the ultimate state of enlightenment, Kojiro is fast to cut the left arm. Yet Poseidon doesn't give up and grabs the trident with his teeth. A last desperate attempt, which the best swordsman in the world ends by using Musashi's move, Kojiro Cross, slicing Poseidon in 4, achieving the first win for humanity. Shocked, Heimdall announces Kojiro as the winner of the third round. With Poseidon reduced to dust, the gods cannot believe a human had killed a god and sit silently in shock. Brunhilde is happy, believing this will wake up the gods and make them see the potential of mankind. A path opens for Kojiro to leave the arena, but feeling exhausted, he starts to fall. Chris turns to her normal form and captures Kojiro. It seems she has returned to normal. In Zeus' room, Shiva and Loki are angry at what happened. Loki wonders why Zeus is so calm considering his older brother died. Zeus states the human was simply stronger. He admits that mankind is indeed strong and that Brunhilde truly intends to defeat the gods. Thus, they need to take this seriously. Shiva decides to go next, but like the last time, Zeus interrupts him, stating that the Greek god died, so another Greek god must take revenge. Seeing Zeus, Ares, and Hermes steam with anger, Shiva and Loki has no other option but to concede. Heimdall announces the result is 2-1 for the gods, and the next round is about to begin. The arena gets remodeled and turned into 19th century London per mankind's fighter request. Heimdall introduces mankind's fighter, the one who threw London into fear, the evilest of evil and mankind's most celebrated murderer, Jack the Ripper. The crowd is shocked and can't believe the murderer, Jack the Ripper, is the next fighter. Heimdall then proceeds with God's fighter announcement, a valiant warrior who pummeled into submission the Nemean lion and Cerberus, the Hound of Hell. When he completed the 12 labors, he became half god, half man, Hercules, ending the series on this criminal cliffhanger. That said, we will keep an eye on when the next season gets aired. Until then, stay safe.